and welcome back to Hot Kitchen. I'm Wendy, and I have a delicious menu idea for you to share with your sweetie on your next romantic date night at home. This one is sure to keep you from wanting to go out and wanting to stay in. For the main course, we're having sesame garlic ginger chicken with a little something I like to call Phad-mein. And for dessert, strawberry whoopie pies. So let's get started by marinating the chicken first. You're gonna need to use a metal pan. And you're gonna wanna whip up the marinade in the pan. I have about 2 ounces of soy sauce, an ounce of dry white wine. I have about a teaspoon or so of oyster sauce, and about a tablespoon of yummy honey to bring out the sweetness. Let's add a bunch of ginger to that. I have about a tablespoon worth of fresh chopped ginger and about 3 cloves of garlic, and most all of this tablespoon of sesame seeds. I'm going to reserve a little bit to sprinkle on the top of the chicken. Whisk that all together. If you want to add a little heat to it, you can use a little chili paste or a little chili flake. I'm opting for the chili flake tonight. And then once you have everything all combined and good and happy, you want to add the chicken in there. Give it a good coating and put it face down in the marinade so it soaks up the maximum flavor. You want to make sure that skin is well infused with the goodness of this marinade. And give my hands a quick little wash here. And now we can put the chicken in the fridge, handling it carefully to avoid cross-contamination. And it's gonna get all good and happy in there. It needs to marinate for at least half an hour, up to 2 hours. So now let's get started on that cake. I'm super excited about this, or the whoopie pies rather. So what we're gonna do is take an egg and crack it open and beat it to a nice light frothy consistency. I'm gonna go with a coarse beater on here because the batter is a little bit on the thick side. You want to beat the egg to a nice frothy consistency because that is what is going to make the little cookies rise. That's great right there. Now add to that a 1/4 cup of very soft butter. You can see how soft that is. Beat that into the egg. Use a low speed. Think more folding than beating. And add to it a 1/2 cup of sugar. Go. Blend that entirely before proceeding to the next step. That's good right there. Now the next step is that we're going to need to sift together the dry ingredients. So I have a cup of flour, an 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and an 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. The salt's going to help bring the flavor out of the shell, and the cream of tartar adds just a touch of tartness. Makes the cookies taste very good. Push all those lumps through. You want this to be a nice, fine, evenly textured little cake cookie. And then you also want to mix your wet ingredients. So I have a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of water that I'm going to mix with a tablespoon of milk. There, that's great. Now start by folding these ingredients in and alternating approximate thirds. So I'm just going to sprinkle on some of the flour. Very gently fold. As the flour starts to disappear, I'm going to add a little splash of the liquid. I'm going to add a bit more flour. Fold that in. Get the goodness that's collected here on the side of the bowl. Now it's time to add more liquid. Blend that in. And the rest of the flour. There we go. That's getting beautiful. I love the consistency, love the texture. Most of all, you're gonna love the flavor. Let's add in the rest of the liquids here. Well, that looks like it's gonna be amazing. So now I'm gonna just scrape down the bowl and do one more last little fold just to make sure everything's in there and all sorts of good and happy. And then I'm gonna clear myself off a little space because now it's time to scoop the cookies and get them ready for the baking. Now these little cookies are gonna be a great texture, somewhere between a cake and a cookie, so they're perfect for turning into whoopie pies. To make a nice, even, consistent size, you wanna use a little scoop like this. This scoop holds about an ounce and it makes the perfect, slightly larger than bite-sized whoopie pies. These little beauties are gonna spread out a bit, so give them some space. And now we're ready for the next step. These cookies are delicious, but what makes a sugar cookie even better, but more sugar? So for a nice sparkling finish, just sprinkle on a little sugar on top of these guys before you put them in the oven. Don't skimp on this step. Once you've got them all sugared up, then it's time to put them in the oven. I've got my oven preset to 375 degrees, and these are gonna need to bake for about, 8 to 10 minutes. Start on the short side of that. Let's see how the cookies are doing. Oh, they look very nice, nice sparkly tops. Little golden brown around the edges, that's how you know when they're done. So while that's cool, we're gonna start whipping up the filling. Just a nice simple filling to go into this. I have 2 ounces of cream cheese, a tablespoon of strawberry jam, and about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I'm working with all of these ingredients chilled because the heavy cream does the best fluffing when it's nice and cold. Get that all in there. And we're just gonna beat it until we have a nice light and fluffy and frosting-like texture. Once I've got all the ingredients incorporated, I'm gonna turn it up and get on with the whipping. There we go. I'm super happy with that right there. Just wanna check the temperature on the cookies, make sure they're not warm anymore. They are not. So I'm gonna give myself a little space to work with here. Put the cookies right here and my frosting right there. And then it's time to start building these. So you're just gonna take them and spread a little bit of frosting on each one. Put it in the middle of the cookie because as your sweetie bites down on it, the frosting is gonna shoot out the side. And while exploding food can be fun, my sweetie prefers to not have sticky fingers after a little treat. Just a nice little dollop. There we go. And then a spoonful of some chopped up berries. I still have some berries left over from last year that I went and harvested from a farm near my house. So they've been defrosted and I chopped them up and I'm gonna just put them right atop the frosting there. Nice little spoonful for each one. Now you can try this with all sorts of berries. I don't think that there's a berry in the world that wouldn't be good with this. And then I'm feeling like that one's a little skimpy, so maybe a little more frosting on that. Stick it on there, press it down gently, and there you are. One beautiful little whoopie pie. And then because there's cream and cream cheese in here, you'll want to keep these in the fridge until you and your sweetie are ready to enjoy them. So now it's time to make the main course, the chicken. The first step to make this chicken is to give it a little sear. And before you do that even, you hit it with a little flour or cornstarch to give it a nice little crust on top of the skin. I'm just gonna sprinkle on a little bit, kind of pat it on there. This is gonna help make a nice crispy skin when you finish it off. And then place it skin side down on a nice hot saute pan. And do save all that sauce. And then you just want to let the chicken brown for a few minutes until it's got a nice little golden crust on it. Let's give these guys a little flip here, see how they're doing. Ooh, that's a nice little crust on there. Ooh, that one looks good too. Let's give it just a couple minutes on the other side as well. All right, these have had enough time now. They're nice and golden on the other side as well. Now I'm gonna place it face down back in the marinade, just to give it another little dousing of the love. And then turn it back up so that the skin side is up. Then the next step is going to be to cover it with foil and put it in the oven on a nice low temperature. I actually turned down my oven to 275 degrees, and I'm going to let it cook in there for about 15 or 20 minutes. It's time to get the noodles going. I have some of these awesome rice sticks here. And what you want to do is just put them in water that has been boiling but is not anymore, and let them sort of steep here for at least 5 minutes or until you are ready to use them. So I'm going to push them all down and get them in there, and then they're good. They really don't need me to do much else to them to make them happy. So I'm going to move on to the cashews. I'm going to season up the cashews and make them all sorts of delicious and very colorful to be a nice topping for the noodles. I'm calling this dish Phad-mein because it's somewhere between pad thai and chow mein. So I'm warming up a little frying oil here in this pan. And you want it to be quite hot but not quite smoking. So next add a 1/4 cup of cashews. Give them a little toss in the oil. And then add some spices. I recommend a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika and 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. It's going to give it a nice golden brown amber color and a nice little spice. Just fry these up until they're all toasted and lovely and fully coated with the spices. You can smell the pepper filling the air around you. If you're sensitive, you may want to stand back because it is a little on the spicy side. When you start to see a little smoke rise, that's how you know they're done, so get them off the heat. And you're done with that part. Now let's turn our attention back to the chicken. So you're going to want to take the chicken, remove the cover, and set it to broil so that skin gets nice and crisp. I'm going to want to brush it. Go. I had to grab a basting brush there. Just make sure that top part is fully coated with the delicious marinade. There we go. Now turn on to broil until that skin gets nice and crispy. And then come back here and start working on the noodles. So I left the oven door open on the broil for a couple of reasons. One, so that I can hear it, and two, so that I can smell it. And that's how I'm gonna know when it's all done. Now I'm warming up a little frying oil in my pan here, and I'm gonna quickly saute together some carrots and zucchini, some onions and some peppers. Just wanna give them a few minutes to cook a little bit. This is going to form the vegetable foundation for the Phad-mein. I love the smell of peppers and onions and carrots all cooking together. It's just heavenly. Nice little bouquet of veggies. Well, these are progressing beautifully. The colors are starting to brighten. The veggies are starting to soften just a touch. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 2 cloves of minced up garlic and my 1/4 head of shredded cabbage. Looks like I'm going to need just a little more oil in here too. There we go. Give that a moment, get it all coated, get it all happy. And then we'll need to drain off the noodles. I have a colander in my sink here. I'm just gonna pour off the noodles. Give them a nice little shake out. Really wanna work that water out of there. There we go. Bring them back over here to Funland. And keep on stirring the vegetables. This one I'm also going to add in a little soy sauce. You're going to want to add as much soy sauce as you like. Start with a little bit and then add more to your tastes. Oh, I can smell the chicken. So I'm going to go pull it out of the oven. Ooh, it looks really good. It's got a nice dark, rich looking crust on top of it. Gonna hit it with a little bit more of the marinade. Work that flavor in there nice and deep. There we go, all good and happy. Let that sit there. Come back over here. We're gonna add the rice noodles now. Fun little things. They have such an interesting texture. Completely unlike your typical Western noodle. At this point, you're going to want to fold in some fresh basil. I'm going to add a little bit more soy sauce. It's not quite the color I want to see. See, a little browner than that. And then I'm going to add just a little more oil because I can see that my noodles are starting to stick together a little bit. It's all about finding that right mix of oil and soy sauce for this. There we go. You can see that I've switched to 2 spoons. Give it a little taste here and see how our seasonings are progressing. Nice little piece of noodle there. Very good, very good. It's time to plate now. in some of these lovely noodles. More veggies on top. And then the chicken. And there you go. Sesame garlic chicken with Phad-mein. Garnish with your yummy cashews. And sprinkle the sesame seeds over the chicken. And how about that? It's a nice, easy, romantic meal for you to share with your sweetie, a nice Asian-style feast. You're gonna love it. Serve up the chicken with the rest of the marinade on the side, and then enjoy this with a nice sweet white wine. Think a Moscato or a Gewürztraminer, maybe a Riesling. And call in your sweetie. Woohoo! Hi, honey.
Hi.
Romantic meal's ready.
This looks wonderful too.
Hey! Aww.
Wow.
Big old chicken breast, huh?
I want to buy that chicken breast.
Should have a nice yummy skin on it too.
Nice and juicy. This is such a hot kitchen. It's yummy.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen tonight. Have fun turning up the heat in your kitchen. And I'll see you next week. Night night.